Do pardon me for if I cough and sneeze. Crazy, creepy, different things behind the camera. So today I wanted to talk to you about MTG a little bit. Yesterday I kind of went on a rampage and I seeked some attention that weren't good. Somebody said, "Romeo, you need mental help." Mm, so I really actually don't because uh, 'cause I know what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's get in order there. So today I was talking about MTG decks or commanders, if you will. Excuse me, and I'm gonna fart too, so it might be a little funny, a little gross. Sorry. So in any commander, you have deck. You have your standard commander. You have your commander, but that's not what I really want to talk about today. I want to talk about. You probably are reading the title and you're seeing what I'm gonna talk about here. Uh, I'm gonna talk about, and I'm gonna find it here. Commanders, actually, or not commanders, planeswalkers. Excuse me. So, why talk about this, Romeo? Because you already kind of put your input yesterday. Because I didn't feel like I got 100% out of what I needed to say. I didn't get everything out that I needed to tell you that I felt about Planeswalker. So, yeah, let's talk about that where I find my Planeswalker. The reason why I think Planeswalkers are good, some of them are good, some of them are bad. And I think what MTG, excuse me, Wizard of the Coast needs to start doing is start making making planeswalkers that when you put them out on the field, this isn't her, by the way, but when you put planeswalkers out on the field, the effect immediately hits. So, for instance, maybe. So let's talk about Liliana. So, for instance, Liliana's effect, basically, when I set her on the field, I can target one player or myself if I choose. I can discard a card, but it really would not affect me. It wouldn't help me. Sorry, I dropped her. It would not help me in the slightest to discard a card unless I have too many cards in my hands. Then I could definitely use the Liliana's effect to limit down my card intake. Or, for instance, somebody just made me maybe possibly draw a card and I want to get rid of that card. I could instantaneously use her effect and take Liliana's effect and discard that card, which is awesome in one way, but in another way, it's kind of hard to have that kind of effect on every card because every planeswalker is going to have its own effect. Now, Liliana has search your library for a card. So I can go into my library here and dig out any card I choose, whether it be maybe another planeswalker or board swipe, maybe, anything. And that's something that I like to do or use, and I think it's a great pardon me. That's a great ability because planeswalkers that have abilities that okay, I'm allowed to literally put her on the field, right? And as soon as she hits that field, bang, that effect takes instantaneous effects. So those are kind of planeswalkers I think WOTC or Wizard of the Coast should start working on. But again, I bitched about this yesterday on how political they are getting, and they need to. Uh, they're getting a little too political. That people would love to use. I would definitely. I mean, the reason why I got Liliana. was because her effect, her ability costs no life, no nothing. I don't have to sacrifice anything. I don't have to do anything. I just honestly put her on the field, and then I say, you draw or you discard a card. Next turn, when she gets to, um, whatever they call it, I think it's loyalties. So two minus two loyalties. I'm gonna search my deck now for a certain any card. So, bang, that card goes in. Uh, that card goes right here. Okay. Now, you know, bang, I put the card back on top of my library. That's the kind of effect that I think Liliana Vest has a very good vast ability to do. The downfall is you're not able to attack with your planeswalker. So you really can't attack with them, but um, I don't think you can block with them either. So basically, they're kind of like sorceries, I guess you say. They're there. She's just there to be there, and when her loyalties go up to like -8, all creatures cards from all graveyards go into my side of the field. Now, this is when, like, if I get 8 loyalties, -8 loyalties, I can put every card in the graveyard on my field. And just basically have at it. That's the kind of loyalty, Liliana is allowed it to use. And these kind of cards are good, but they're also very dangerous. And any person that knows how to take Liliana's ability and just come up with a short 3-second ability loyalty, or like it would only take her 3 seconds on getting on that field, just to snap that effect to trigger her effect and use it. That's dangerous. So these kind of cards, are dangerous, and they are going to be very dangerous and something you want to watch out for. But I mean, I like using effects. Planewalkers do have some good effects. You can destroy anything. You can do a lot of things. You can search your card for anything. You can gain life, maybe. You can do a lot. There are reasons why I think planeswalkers, some of them should be put into a deck. Now, a lot of people I hear talking about, well, why don't you, um, you know, well, I don't have planeswalkers. I don't use them in my deck. Well, the possible reason that some people probably don't use them is because, again, here's, pardon me, is that not all planeswalkers are going to be like Liliana. They're not going to have the instantaneous snap, bam effect. They're going to have, you know, probably not very good stuff for you to play with. Unlike Liliana, she gives you a little bit more of a plate full of goodness than she does nothing. She's not bad. She's not. She's just. She will fit in there. She's not good. She'll just. I mean, Liliana will just fit in there. So, when you. The reason why I think that some planeswalkers should be in MTG or in. They're already in MTG, I mean, but. I mean, EDH. Is because planeswalkers, honestly, I think you can do some things with them. If you get a good planeswalker, that would be a heck of a game to start batting up, you know, batting at people, giving people crap. Because, like I said, Liliana, I put her on the field. I'm going to target somebody, or I can target myself if I choose, but I'm going to target somebody on that table. It's going to have to discard their hand, or discard a card, I mean. That's pretty good. I like that. So when you get like planeswalkers that do things like that, that have that combo where, bam, they come on that field and they just instantaneously, you got an effect, you are willing to play it. That's something that a lot of MTG players want to use. They don't want cards that just sit there and do like half an hour of nothing, literally the whole entire game. You can't do anything. That's what kind of game, you know, what kind of game would you want to use a planeswalker or any creature that is just basically what's called a dead card? It's not going to do you any good. It's not going to do you any help. It's not going to gain you life. It's not going to gain you any manas, or it's not going to gain you anything that you really need in your life in that game. I mean, so you wouldn't. So the conclusion comes to, because you want to add planeswalkers that have effect. Now, here's the reason why I think that some planeswalkers should not be added. The pros and cons. So let's start there. Pros: some planeswalkers do have good effects. Pros: some planeswalkers can give you life, can give you mana count, they can give you the ability to take things from other players, they can give you other things, and they can take away too. They can do both, give and receive. And they have that ability to do those things. So those are kind of the pros. Now here's the cons. The cons are you cannot really use a planeswalker as a creature. They're not a creature. They're just planeswalkers. They're just little crawlers. And how many times they get hit? Bang, 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 bang. They're going to get hit numerous amounts of times. There's a chance, or there is a point where this planeswalker is going to go dead. Mm, excuse me. Another con is that some planeswalkers won't have the ability that you need for your deck. So, for instance, um, my deck that I've made, that's a black and white deck. My black and white deck is based off of gain life and destroying opponents' cards, creatures, artifacts, and sometimes taking away their life, and double striking, and being able to get lifelink and do a lot. My deck is based off of doing a lot of things. I can do a lot of things with my deck, and I know that I can do a lot of things with my deck. But when I have Liliana in here, she can make my deck a little more pop. For me, I feel like she pops my deck just a pinch. She adds flavor to my deck, making it a little spicy, giving it a little spice in there, but not too much spice that, it's not going to be like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, this is a great card. This card is basically, it gives my deck a little bit of spice. It does do a little bit of good things with me, that I can use her and let her go. And as soon as she dies, she didn't die in vain. She at least let me do what I did. And she helps me. So those are kind of planeswalkers that you need to look for, but there are not always going to be there. Planeswalkers are always different. There's, 1,000 different planeswalkers that I probably cannot name off the top of my head. But Liliana, Jace, Chandra, all those different planeswalkers have different flavors and different spices, add different spices to your deck. Some good, some bad. Some might help, some might not really help you. So when you're going to, or if you're going to use what you call a planeswalker, just make sure that you the loyalties are going to help you. So if you read every loyalty that counts on here, it's going to tell you what you need to do. Some planeswalkers can help your commander, some can't. Like for instance, Liliana, she does not help my commander at all. There's no this girl to my commander. So my deck basically is built of consists of no help whatsoever between my planeswalker and my commander. Some uh, planeswalker might help your legendary creatures. Others might not. I don't know if there is. I don't know if there isn't. I don't know, but there could be. So things like that add a little bit of spice and help to your hand. Another thing is that when you're playing with a planeswalker, do remember that it takes loyalty. So you're not. It's not going to be easy all the way to go down to your super awesome. Um, you're not going to be able to do that super awesome move from your planeswalker. It's going to be really difficult. It's going to take a lot of time. So again, I expect as soon as I push my planeswalker out there, I expect that I know I'm going to try to use her effect, and she's going to instantaneously die. I affected, or I, the effects I knew that I could use before she dies would be one that I would want to use for my ability and for my deck, and it would give me flavor and spice. So I knew that, and that's okay. I realized that she's going to die. That your planeswalker are going to be able to be killed, but you want to use planeswalkers that have effects. So that goes back into cons. When you're using a planeswalker that doesn't have very good effects, and that doesn't really help you, I guess I could say, then had any planeswalkers that is not going to help you, because if you do, your deck is going to sink. Planeswalkers are kind of down looked upon in EDH players. Sometimes some EDH players look at them and just scoff like, "Oh, okay, you got a planeswalker," because they know that planeswalkers are not going to do very much. They know what it costs and what its effects, could be. They know that I'm not going to it, but I can't block with it. So they kind of know that these things are going to happen. So that's a downfall that you have to look upon, is that you probably will get scoffed at because your planeswalker will not have much of an ability to do things like that. But in other words, it kind of has its good and bads because planeswalkers do allow things to come in squirts and spurts, if you will. If you get a good card that I can bring back maybe 4 cards from my deck or my grave and then put them back on my hand, that's something that, I would probably definitely add into my deck. So there are planeswalkers out there that won't help you. So for instance, if you're basically running a planeswalker that retrieves or does something that your deck, like for instance, Liliana kind of is not really built around me, but I mean, well, she kind of is actually. For instance, Liliana is built, I guess, around me because she's a black, she's a swamp. So she's built around me, but her effects help me, which are basically I do have a lot of effects of discarding cards, and I don't really get to pick. Excuse me, a lot of cards out of my deck and put them on top of my library. So I don't have very many of those. So those are helpful. But the top one, Liliana has. Liliana basically is helping me do more of discarding and getting rid of my opponent's cards, so that my opponent is not, my opponent's limited to what he or she is using. But those are things that I know that my planeswalker can do. But if you add a planeswalker just because, oh look, that planeswalker is so cool, oh, it's so, you think it's so glorified. Oh, don't do it because it's glorified or because it looks sexy or it looks sassy or just look at it because it's got flavor and spice to it. When you spice your deck, you want to use it. Sorry, I think I'm gonna sneeze. Pardon me. Ooh, excuse me. Pardon me. I thought I was gonna sneeze there for a second. Hold on. But you don't want to add anything that's not going to help you. Sorry. But anyway, you don't want to add anything just because, oh, I like this. I really do like this Planeswalker. But the effects are not going to do me any good. But it fits in my deck. Those are cons those are a lot of cons, flag warnings for people doing MTG or adding anything like that into. Don't add that card in there just because it's so sexy, it's beautiful, it's just don't do that, because honestly, because it's sexy, because it looks sick as frick, and because it supposedly you can make your deck look beautiful. Look, really, we're not trying to make your deck look beautiful. I mean, come on, grow up. Your deck's not to be beautiful, it's to be useful, not beautiful. It's supposed to have flavor, spiciness, abilities, creatures to attack, able to defend, able to put instants, sorcery, different things in your deck. The same thing with this. It's the same thing for anything in your deck. It's use. Excuse me. If you can make use out of your planeswalker, then put her in. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about planeswalkers, that their use has to be ability to, and anything that it has to fit into that deck perfectly in order for it to stay in that deck. For me, I would choose. The reason why when I saw Liliana was because I wanted Liliana, because I knew what Liliana was able to do. And I saw that, okay, honestly, Liliana was able to do a lot more things. I, again, was able to put her on the field and bang, instantaneously use her effects. Awesome. Now, because people will just basically repeating everything the same thing, uh, let me clarify. No, I'm doing a little are tools. Um, they're good cards. Yeah, their art is beautiful. I mean, it's understandable that you might like that art, but I got stuff in here too that's. Let me look through here as I talk to you guys. I mean, oh, this one, this one's really cool. But I get at it because she looks beautiful. No, because I'm going to use my card's effect. Um, for instance, no. Hey, how about this one? She's beautiful. Well, yeah, but Just got an effect. Oh, how about these mountains? I mean, I've seen a lot of people with these. Oh, they're so beautiful. They're so sexy. They're planes. Come on. You know, the same thing. I could go on and on and on. I mean, understandably that, all this, they're going to have an effect. Um, and that's what I want to look for in my deck. I don't want to look for something that doesn't literally use um, the beauty. I want to use something that has abilities. So with Planeswalkers, when I add a Planeswalker in my deck, I hope to use it. I hope to get it out as soon as possible. For instance, this one right here. I hope to use it. I know it looks pretty cool and kind of different for me. It might have its own flavor and sauciness, and spiciness. But basically, at this point, it's not about trying to make it look beautiful. I want to try to use it. I mean, holy crap. Okay, I've never seen a sorcery like this before. So, what am I going to... I could go on and on, but like I said, it's... I want things that have flavor to it. And so when you add planeswalkers, again, that's the same thing. With any card in a deck, I got like um, I got Guild Lotus or Gilded Lotus. That's another one. Ah, crap. Sorry, guys. I really am sick. I'm debating whether or not I want to go to the shop today, but I don't think I will. Ouch. Sorry. Keep thinking I'm gonna sneeze again. Ah, gosh, dang it. Sorry, guys. Yeah. This not feeling good today. I don't think I'm gonna go to the shop today. But anyway, I mean, like, okay, for instance, I have a bunch of legendaries in my deck. Just because I think some of them are cool, I'm not really gonna honestly use them for good looks. I'm gonna use them for their abilities. And that's the important thing with any card. I mean, okay, Skull Clamp. I thought that was pretty cool. But I read the effect, and I equip one card by tapping one mana, and I equip one card to it. And it basically Skull Clamps me. That card. So, oh, here, Soul Ring. That's the most common card that everybody MTG should know, honestly. That's the biggest card that I think that everybody recognizes is Skull Clamp and Soul Ring. 2 cards. See, again, here. This is a demon card. This is a demonic card. It's pretty creepy, kind of cool, creepy-ish. But am I going to? No. And that's, again, you guys with any card. I think any card that you guys... I don't want to get up. I just want to be lazy right now. So most of your deck is going to consist of cool cards like this. How am I going to, why would you then want to put some people, that don't really know MTG very well? And I'm not really, again, professional at MTG. I don't know so much about it, but I know a little bit about it. Some people would ask, well, then why would you put cards like that, that have a cool look to it in your deck if it's not about the looks? Well, or spend money on cards like that. Well, we're not spending money on just the looks. We're spending money on the effects. So the effect of a card can do maybe 2 things in 2 turns, or 1 turn, do like 5 things in 1 turn. So with the same thing with any planeswalker, like with Jace, I'm sure Jace can do a lot, and I'm trying to think of his abilities, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Comment down below if you know some of Jace's effects, because I honestly, right now, on the top of my head, I can't think of Jace's effects, but, some of his effects might be okay to use maybe in a blue deck. Not for me. I honestly don't think Jace would have a good effect for me to be playing in my deck. That's why I chose a black deck, because I knew that I could pick a Planeswalker and use it. And that's why was the one that I chose. So basically, it's all comes down to is like when you're make cards that you have the ability to do. Planeswalkers that are gonna help you are definitely a good thing. Remember that there are cards out there that won't help you. So there's gonna be a lot of cards out there that won't help you. And Planeswalker, people again have different affiliations with and different feelings towards them. There are gonna be people out there like me that are okay with it, just as long as you have the ability to use that effect. Okay? Guy, pulls out a good card. And when I do hope that guy pulls out a good card, then okay, I hope I can get a card that maybe can stop him. Just so I can use it. There are times out there where you're going to want to use it. You're going to jump out and try to use it. But, just enjoy. But, that's why. So, you guys, I really do hope that helps you with that one. But there's going to be other topics here today, too. Like, should I build a commander set, or should I buy one, and why? Again, a personal preference. I don't think I have a problem with people buying cards. I mean, buying experience. that's the ultimate experience for any MTG player. Is that you're gonna go out there and you're gonna literally pay money to buy cards, and you're gonna create this. But the question comes into like, should I buy a deck or a EDH deck or any deck? Um, I'm just gonna say this: that most decks probably now will come in pretty vanilla, very lame, um, not very good setups for you, unless you get that already built, ready fight deck. And I'm gonna know the name of it later, or I'm gonna probably end up seeing somebody with it later. But so there was that question again of, should I, Romeo, build my EDH deck, or should I uh, buy it, and why? Well, it's up to you personally. I don't. You buying that? I mean, I bought my first. I, to be honest with you, when I made this deck actually came in a uh, the 2019 core set. Part of it was out of the 2019 core set, I think. Um, so, or no, not this one, but I think my other one was. Excuse me, my mono black deck came out of my 2019 core set that I got for free, and so honestly, I didn't buy it. I just got it, and I created a deck out of it. So I mean, there's no bad thing to come out of it, but you're just gonna be, probably not set with really good cards. So that's why I just, have been told many times, create your own deck. So that way, when you create your own deck, then that way you can know what your deck basically does. You know your mechanics of your deck. You know how your deck runs, how, it works with certain cards and what cards to use at certain times, and you're pretty familiar with your deck. You'll be able to understand it a little bit better, and you'll be able to recognize that, okay, opponent throws down maybe a Black Lotus. Well, I can destroy that Black Lotus by destroying a target artifact. So I'm gonna destroy that target artifact and destroy that Black Lotus. Okay, cool. Those are the kind of mechanics that you have in your deck that do or not, but everyone should have those. The ability to destroy and do things like that in your deck that that will work for you. Decks are basically like people. They evolve. They work. This is what I've been told. Decks pretty much don't get ever done. They evolve. And they grow and 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 grow. And, you know, expensively, too. It's not cheap, but they grow. So when you're building your deck, you're gonna have a lot of money. I don't know how much money I put in this deck. I try to make this a cheap deck. Really, this is probably one of my cheap commander decks. But excuse me. But honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, for this being a very cheap deck. I mean, for the deck, for the money that I took to build this deck, I got some pretty crazy cards. I got some good cards in here too. I mean, they're, I'll show you two that I really, I'll show you a couple here. There's just a bunch of cards in here that I like. Um, I'm not gonna dig all of them out, but I'll just show you a couple. Um, I like my commander's ability. Because my commander has death touch, right? So she's got death touch. This guy is an enchantment, and I can choose cans or dragon. And cans, I can begin combat turn. I can put a 1/1 counter on the target creature you control. Or dragon at the beginning of a combat, each opponent turn tap target creature that player controls. So, those are cards that I definitely want to have in my deck. Skull Clamp, that's another one. I definitely want Skull Clamp in my deck because Skull Clamp, you know, will help my card. So if I have, for instance, a 7/7, it'll become an 8/8, and until this card dies, um, it's an 8/8. Not until the end of turn, but it's now for, again, as long as that card is on the field, an 8/8, and if it's destroyed, I draw 2 cards. Oh, things like that will definitely help my deck, and I like that. Um, Gilded Lotus is another one. You can play it as kind of a mana, I guess, colorless mana, if you will. A card, hexproof. You can't lose the game, and whenever you can draw that many cards, whenever I lose life or each life, I can exile it. So that's not bad. It helps, I guess, but it will suck if people start targeting enchantments. But basically, I mean, yeah, that's Liliana again. I definitely want Liliana. No. So to be honest, again, from what I'm showing you and telling you, this deck. Oh, whip. Creatures I control have lifelink. This is another one I think. And I know that I have them, and I know that I can use them. So it's not a gamble. So the pros and cons to owning a pre-owned deck, or not a pre-owned, but a deck out of the box, if you will. A pre-constructed deck, you don't know what's going to be inside. You don't know the value. You don't know what kind of mechanics they're going to run. You don't know, what you're going to later on start figuring out what mechanics they're built around. Whether they're good, bad, or maybe you need a little help. Maybe they don't need help at all. Who knows? So that's kind of one of the cons about that is that you don't know those things. But on top of that, you just basically have to guess. And once you start playing with your deck, you start learning the. Excuse me, my nose is dripping. You're gonna start learning the mechanics pretty quickly. Um, so that's gonna know much more about that deck until you play with it and you open it up. Uh, the pros for building deck, you've basically built that deck from 1 to however many cards up to that 99 cards plus the one commander. You know the deck's mechanics. You know the flavor, the spice that it has in it. Whether it does or doesn't, that's up to you. You know a lot of things about that deck, and you know how that deck's going to react and what good that deck will go against that could potentially win. Whether you win or not, that's up and however you play. But you know those things. So those are important. You know your commander. You know why you've chosen that commander. It's not like a pre-constructed commander where basically you have no choice. You've basically bought that commander and that's it. That's what the commander comes with. You know the purpose of why you bought that commander. For instance, the same reason why I bought this one. Death Touch. I got some cards that can do that. Pretty simple. Basically, there's not very much mechanic and science behind why I choose what I choose. But I just say that I think if you're going to go the route, you're going to pay probably a little bit more money to buy the pre-constructed. And again, you're not really technically going to know the mechanics behind the pre-constructed until you play with it. Sometimes another con I think I hear a little bit sometimes about is that the cards in there don't always seem to be the best for that deck. Not all the time, but sometimes. So, excuse me. Uh, sorry. So you kind of technically don't know what you're going to get. But when you pre-build your deck, or you build your deck on your own, you're going to then realize that every card that you put in there has a purpose. You see? So it's just how you choose. You can, and basically it's just, you add your own flavor and spice in there. But when you get it pre-constructed, it has its flavor and spice already set in there. But it doesn't mean that you don't have to deal with the same thing. You can, adjust it and reconstruct it again to make it a little bit better, maybe. But, I think buying your own, you kind of basically are, you a deck is like your child, basically. You are building it, working with it, using it, playing with it. You're basically seeing it from when it was a baby to, as it's expanding, growing into possibly potentially adulthood. So that's kind of how your own deck is. But pre-constructed is basically where WOTC has done it themselves. You had no control, you had no say, you had nothing to do with it. And that's it. So I would say I probably would recommend more for me to do my own deck. And again, the reason why is because then that would. But I mean, it's up to you personally. I don't care. But yeah, that's basically it, you guys. I really. Oh, and then I did have questions on should I get a box like this or a something like this or one of those. Um, and why? For protecting my deck or for protecting your deck. Your deck is definitely sleeve your cards because your cards are basically, like I said, your babies. They're your kids. You're gonna want to see them full, just full life out of them, and that's why. And so, that being said, I would probably say if you have a choice, go hard. Go something like this. Because this will definitely give you good protection. Or there's another one that I recommend. Excuse me. Or go with something like this that's Ultra Pro made, called the Satin Deck Tower. You can put your cards up in here, and then you can have your dice down here. I actually will probably do that, but card boxes like these little wood ones, cardboard ones, aren't going to do anything for you. They aren't really going to help you. Why do it? Why do it at all? I mean, honestly. Because looking at this cardboard box, it's not going to do anything for you anyway. Those little Ultra Pro plastic ones, I guess. But the plastic ones I do have my concerns with. But that's it really for that. I mean, that's nothing more to say. Other than I choose that. I just choose these because so see, and again, now my deck's in here. Then it's safe. Put my dice in here. I'm good to go. So that's how it's going to be, you guys. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to go. I'm going to try to take a little nap. And then maybe go to the card shop. But anyway, love you guys. Peace. Have fun.